Hello, happy June. I wanted to film a little wrap up for you guys for May, and then I filmed it. It was really good, and then I was blurry the entire time. So now I'm in bed, I'm with my friends, and hopefully I can just redo it. Hopefully I'm not blurry right now. I literally cannot see, so just hoping for the best. Yeah, I was gonna do a like April and May wrap up, but I decided I didn't want to. So it's just gonna be my May wrap up, but it's fine. I read 6 books. Pretty good, I would say. Yeah, I just want to go through them, share my thoughts. So I started a month. I was kind of in the mood for some like gothic, darker books. I always equate summer with like kind of spooky vibes. I think it's like, I just think about like Summerine in my head, and I don't know. I know a lot of people like to read their spooky atmospheric books in the fall, but I always think just like the warmth and like the oddness that comes with summer is just perfect for these types of books. I started with The Woods All Black by Lee Mandello, and this book was so fun. I'm so glad I started with this book. It's so short, it's like a novella length. Basically it follows our main character, who is a trans nurse, and he goes to a small town where they like requested a nurse to come and help them. And basically just imagine small conservative town that doesn't want a trans person in it, and there's just some spooky stuff going on, some things that aren't adding up, some things that are going awry, some things that shouldn't be happening, and our main character is trying to figure it out while also protecting another outcast in the town. And it was just so fun. The ending of this book, it was so wild to me, but I loved it. It was just great. It was really good. Definitely recommend picking this up. This is also the same author who wrote Summer Sons, which I read about 2 years ago now, and I love that book. I love that book so much, and so I knew I had to pick this one up. Then on a similar note, I wanted to keep the like same vibes rolling, so I picked up What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. This book and The Woods All Black have very, very similar vibes to me. If you don't know, this is based off the Edgar Allan Poe short story called Fall of the House of Ushers, I believe. I haven't read it. I want to though. I want to get around to it eventually. But this follows another queer main character who goes to this house that their friend like lives in. There's like a brother and sister, and the sister's sick and the brother's not doing too hot either, and it's just very off-putting. But I love books where like the house is the main character. I feel like it's one of those key components in a lot of gothic novels, and I love it. I feel like it's so fun, and I love seeing this like sentient house character like doing its thing and being creepy. And so this book was really fun. I love the world building, and I would love to see more of it. I think there's a second book in this series which I would like to pick up, because I think it kind of delves deeper into the main character's like heritage and culture. So definitely gonna be trying to pick that up soon. I gave this book 3.5 stars, I believe, just because it was a little slow moving at points, but yeah, it was good. Okay, next I had to switch up the vibes and go to a book that I was kind of putting off for a while. Not a while, but since it came out. If you don't know, it's The Sunshine Court, and this book, this series is like my baby series. I love All for the Game. This is the 4th installment of it, and it's kind of like a spin-off of the original series because it follows a different main character, but it is a character who was introduced in the main trilogy. I can't really speak much about the plot, but I love this book. It was so good. I gave it 4 stars. It was so painful though. My heart hurt, but definitely good. I would recommend looking at trigger warnings for both the original series and this book, because they both handle some very serious and mature themes in not the best way. So I would be very cautious of that if you're thinking about picking up the series. But man, I was so skeptical about picking it up because it's been so long since the author released the first trilogy, and I was kind of scared that she would ruin it a little bit. But she didn't. I think the characters kind of stayed true to themselves, and I loved seeing more of this world and more of especially the main character in the first book series. Oh my gosh, Neil, I love him so much. But yeah, it was very good. I gave it 4 stars. In my heart, all the books are 5 stars, but like realistically, they're probably passing at like a 2 or 3. So I kind of just average out, you know, I give it a good 4. I'm cranking through these books because I have a lot to say about these last few. I sat with one book for a majority of the month, not because it was bad or slow, but just because it was a book that needed a lot of time, and it was a long book. And it was The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Murakami. Look at her and her beauty. This book, I read a lot of Murakami. If you don't know, if you're new here, I read a lot of Murakami. This is probably my like 9th or 10th book by him, including short stories and novellas and stuff like that. And I was putting this one off for a while. I had this physically for like 2 years now, and I just wasn't ready for it. And this month I picked it up. I'm like, it's time. I'm ready. I need to pick it up, and I'm so glad I did, because it's definitely now in my top 5. I gave this book 5 stars. It is easily one of his better works. Basically, we follow our main character. The story starts off with him losing his cat, and it just spirals from there. I really can't describe it because it's one of those books where you walk through life with this character. I think it takes place over the course of like a year or a year and a half, and you just walk like day by day, like just doing random things with this character, like meeting people, having conversations. And my favorite thing about most Murakami books, and especially in this book, is I love characters that just accept what's happening to them. Like, Murakami always plays with this like surrealist type of themes in his books, some like magical realism, magical unrealism. I can't even describe it very well, but this book has some things that happen to the main character that simply cannot be like understood or explained. And I love when characters just don't question things. Like, it's not a passivity to them, but it's just an acceptance, and I love it because I feel like I can relate to them, where I just try not to question things that happen to me. Anything that happens to him in these books never would happen to me, but I kind of just relate to it. And this book just felt, it's gonna be a weird comparison, but to Alice in Wonderland, just the way it like spirals and moves so seamlessly through plot lines, and just the way that both Alice and our main character in this book just accept what's happening to them. And it's just like, it's so beautiful to me. It's so fun. I don't know, I love when we can focus on what's actually happening instead of explaining what's happening, if that makes sense. But yeah, I had so much fun with this book. Definitely recommend, but if it's your first Murakami, maybe I would put this off to like your 2nd or 3rd one, just to get a sense for his writing, because it is kind of slower moving at points. I still find those like parts of the books to be really fun and entertaining, even if it's just like our main character like answering the phone or making his coffee or whatever. But I feel like this is a book you have to go slow, and you have to enjoy the small things, and sometimes it goes off on so many side tangents which don't seem to make sense, but kind of like pulls things together and makes this world more round. Yeah, oh my god, I love this book if you can't tell. So very glad I read this. Very glad I took my time with it too. Okay, next I wanted to pick up something that's a bit faster, a little bit lighter, and I decided to go with Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, I believe it's called. This book, I picked it up about like 6 months ago when it had a bunch of hype, and it was right before the sequel came out, I believe, and I really just wanted to read it and understand what people were talking about, but I never picked it up. And so this month I'm like, let me read it, or I never get around to it. And so I picked it up. I enjoyed it. I gave it a good 3 stars. I feel like the first 100 pages were very fun to me. I loved the pacing. I loved watching Emily get settled into this town, explore, kind of map out things. And overall, the book was really good. If you don't know, it's about our main character, Emily, who goes to this like fictional country. I just equate it to Iceland because I've been to Iceland. It sounds exactly the same, and they have like their little elves there, and she's studying fairies and like the fae, and she's making an encyclopedia of them. And so it's told through the events, or the events are told through passages in her encyclopedia. and it's just so fun. It's really fun. But I felt like the last third was like super rushed in my opinion. I felt like all the like climax, like the few events that happen are just like boom 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 and it's over, and I feel like we could have sat with it for a little while. We could have like dug deeper and gotten a little bit more out of it. And so that's why it's kind of bumped down to 3 stars, where it's like, it was good, I enjoyed it. It wasn't anything special, and I feel like the pacing really threw it off for me. I wish it was like another 100 pages longer. Like, it wouldn't have brought down the story at all if it was longer. I feel like it would have just made the climax more dramatic and more meaningful. Yeah, I definitely see why people love it and why people don't love it. So it's kind of one of those things where I sat in the middle, but it was good. It was good. And then last but not least, I had another 5-star, and this one was truly a shock for me because it is a short story collection, and I almost never really love short story collections. And it is Bloodchild and other short stories by Octavia Butler. And let me tell you, I am an Octavia Butler stan, guys. Like, I love her so much. I love her stories. I've read 3 full-length novels, and this is my 4th like work by her. And basically this has 5 short stories, 2 essays, and then 2 additional stories, because this is the 2nd edition of it. When I tell you, it's so good. Like, I've never read a short story collection where each story has its own unique world, especially it being sci-fi, where you need to have those like world building aspects to understand why the story is happening. And I think Butler does it so well. She does it in a way that makes you care and understand about the world and the characters. And I wanted every single story in here to be like a full-length novel. Like, I would read every single one, and it was just so beautiful. Also, the 2 essays in here were probably one of my favorite things I've ever read. I love them, especially the first one. It's called Positive Obsession, and it's so good. It's basically detailing like how as a child, how she wanted to be a writer and how she found the space to do it. And also I just found it so relatable. I thought it was beautiful, and I connected with it so much. It was so good. But yeah, definitely recommend picking it up. I think everyone should read it. I think it's so good. I think everyone just needs to pick it up. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have. I think it was pretty good overall. I had a great time. Let me know how your month was, and I guess I'll see you guys later.